let's move on to this last news story here real quick. A new God of War side story project set in Greece is coming this year. It's claimed.
Yes.
This is written by Jordan Middler over at Video Games Chronicle. Rumors have circulated for some time about a remastered collection of God of War titles set for this year, time for the franchise's 20th anniversary, but now Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubb has claimed that a new God of War side story project set in Greece is coming this year. The first several entries in the series were set in Greece and focused on Greek mythology before moving on to Norse mythology in 2018's God of War reboot. While God of War director Cory Barlog has previously said that he never planned for a second God of War trilogy based on the 2018 game, the conclusion to God of War Ragnarok left the story open for more titles. Everyone keeps asking about this, so I've tried to find out more, Grubb wrote on Blue Sky. There's still a Greek God of War thing coming out this year, but it's not a remaster collection. It's a new side story project. Grubb then added, I was never told about a remaster collection, but I asked a source about the rumors that I saw were focused on a collection, and they told me that nothing God of War would happen at the State of Play, but something could show up at the anniversary. Sony has announced some of its plans to celebrate the 20th anniversary of God of War franchise. The celebration will include new in-game content from God of War for God of War Ragnarok, new merchandise, and physical art exhibition. God of War Ragnarok players will be able to claim the new skin from March 20th, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I don't know. When this was kind of floating around, this got me really excited because I was not a fan, or not that I wasn't a fan. I did never play the original 3 games set in Greece. My cousin was super into it. She loved them. Like she would replay them like yearly, go through all 3 of them just over and over. Like that franchise is one of her favorite franchises of all time. But I don't know, for some reason I just never got super into those original ones. But in 2018, I got hooked on the new reboot series. And then when God of War Ragnarok came out a couple years ago, that one hooked me as well. So such an incredible story, which I've talked about on the show before. Like, I think those ones really hooked me, because of, at the time, I was having my first child. Shepard was born in 2017. Is that right? And then this game came out in 2018, like just a few months later. And so the whole story of God of War, like the 2018 reboot, is like Kratos suddenly, his wife passes away, and he was used to he had a son, but it's kind of like, oh, woman, you take care of the son, I hunt and I build and I do my stuff. And then the game is kind of like she dies, and then he's having to now connect with this 10-year-old kid that he barely knows, and well, how do I be a dad to this child? And so the character growth and the arc of the story of starting out being so separate and not knowing to by the end starting to build that connection of I love this kid, and Atreus learning to oh no, I actually care and love my dad despite how rough and tumble he can be, how hard he can be to I don't know, there's real emotional depth to the game. And then it's expanded on further in the second game. So for me, really hit home, because I was oh man, that was when I was having my first kid, and there's this baby. I'm just what do I do with this baby? I love it, but I don't know why. I don't know this kid. I don't know anything about this thing. Yeah. It's but for some reason I still care for it and I love it. And so it was such an interesting journey for me, playing that game and living this thing in real life of taking care of a child. And so I love these games. So hearing to get more games in the series, obviously extremely exciting. And then going back to Greece, that's really exciting to me. Not that I don't, I have not been enjoying the Norse mythology stuff, but I think because I missed out on the Greek mythology games, just has me excited to kind of go back to the roots, especially with the new gameplay and graphical style. Cause that's one thing, playing old games can be hard sometimes. Cause it's oh, they don't look good. They don't play good. They can be hard. So man, to get a taste of that without having to go back and play the old games sounds kind of bomb, honestly. Get a little taste of that. But we'll have to see if this is even real. At this point, it's just a rumor. Jeff Grubb says a lot of things, and most of the time they don't come true, but you never know. Sometimes they do. Do you have any experience with the God of War games?
Yes.
And are you kind of, I don't know, what are your feelings on this? Does this get you excited or anything like that?
I do really want to get super really into it, but at the same time, it's just like there's so much that kind of like goes on, and again, my brain cells can only can only handle so much. I do really like I mentioned, I do have the PSP. I have the Chain of War special edition one. So I have the red PSP. Yeah, it has
awesome.
Kratos on the
Chains of
on the
Olympus.
back of it. Yes, exactly that one. And like I was really hooked into that one. That was my first introduction to God of War. Unfortunately, I wasn't really exposed to it again until after I met my partner, because he is like I think you invited the wrong person for this, but he is a huge fan of God of War. He'd platinumed every single game that he possibly can for. Yes, and
ring him up right now. Get him on the phone. Let's get him on the phone.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Like, I can leave, but the reason why I kind of got back into it was to impress him. So I already played a lot of like video games, which is already like a plus for him, because obviously at the time, like way back when not a lot of girls really were into video games. I feel like a lot of people weren't really into video games until after COVID. I feel like it wasn't as big as it is today, because everyone was forced to just stay at home. But anyways, I'm not saying that I'm like, I'm special at the time, but it's very in a smaller city, it's very hard to find people with like the same interests in general.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So I heard that he's like a big fan of like God of War, and then the God of War game that you were just talking about, like it just like came out, and I was just like, perfect, this is a perfect time for me, something to bond about. So yeah, I still ended up getting a really good experience out of it. So he was just a plus, but it was a really, really good game. It definitely it was definitely different compared to the
the original trilogy. The Chains of Olympus. So it's a very different vibe. Like the first ones really were so violent, so gory, so over the top, and these new ones are much more like about the character development. Like it's more grounded a little bit. Yeah.
So that's why when jumping from that to this was just like such a big jump, but I was like, oh, there's so much more into it. So I do really want to get more into it, just to like see how far he's come, like what kind of relationships has he gone through, that kind of thing. And it was a really nice that game was a really nice game to get back into for God of War, because I did really, really enjoy it, but I just kind of fell off, played other games, but such a good game.
Now, would you play it? What if this new side story project that could be possibly set in Greece, what if it also included Zach from Crisis Core? Would that help at all?
Oh my God, sign me up. Take my money. Take it now.
There we go.
Don't even care how long I have to wait. Just take it. As long as I know that I have the game secured.
Yep.
I'm done. You got me.
You heard it here first, Sony Santa Monica. Get on it. Get Zach in there.
Hurry up. I don't see why not.
What a wild game that would be. What a wild game.
Just a crazy match. Just to see two different people.
Very different.
Very different. What is it? Scenes. Oh my God. But yeah, I would, whatever it takes. I'll give you all the money you want. I don't care.
Good.
I'll give it.
Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.